Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. For today's lovely Halloween video, we are playing some spooky zombies. Yep, we are playing zombies with a built-in combo, which is kind of cool. So what does our deck want to do? Well, we are a kindred creature type deck here, so we're trying to play a bunch of zombies with some synergies. So we have Champion of the Perished, which grows whenever we play a zombie. So we're going to be playing some zombies like Carrion Feeder, which is also a sack outlet. Stitcher Supplier, which can mill us into things like Gravecrawler. We've got Undead Augur, which can draw us some cards when our zombies die. Accursed Marauder, which is a relatively new card from Modern Horizons, and this allows us to have a little bit of removal. There is a zombie and can trigger things being played, like our Champion of the Perished. We've got a couple of Death Baron, which will pump all of our zombies and give us Death Touch, so our opponent won't have any good blocks. And then we have this package over here. So, Wayward Servant is a 2-mana 2/2 zombie. Whenever another zombie you control enters, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Then we have Warren Soultrader. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. Okay, so if we have Warren Soultrader and Wayward Servant in play and we have a Gravecrawler, we sack the Gravecrawler to the Soultrader to make a treasure. Then we play the Gravecrawler from the graveyard and we drain 1 from our opponent. And we can just do that infinitely. So we have this little infinite drain loop to get the final points of damage through, or if we're really behind, we can suddenly pull an oops I win with all this sort of stuff. For the white mana, we're also using Tidehollow Sculler in our deck. This is just a bit of hand disruption that also triggers our synergies, and that's pretty nice too. We can also just do things with Carrion Feeder and Wayward Servant, where we keep playing and sacking this Gravecrawler. If we've got the Undead Augur, we're going to be drawing cards. If we've got the Champion of the Perished, we're going to be growing it. So there's quite a lot of synergy built into this deck. Our mana base involves 4 Cavern of Souls, so we can play some of our creatures uncounterably. We've got ourselves some Scrublands to go and fetch, and 1 Shadowy Backstreet, then just a bunch of swamps. We don't want a plains in here because we have all these black costs here. We have plenty of white sources here, so we've got 5 plus these 4, plus all of our fetches. So plenty of white mana sources. That's pretty much the deck. As for the sideboard, what are we doing? Well, we've got some Null Rods to beat these broken artifact decks. We've got some Faerie Macabre to beat these broken graveyard decks. We've got some Stillmoon Cavalier, which is pretty good against black and white removal, as it turns out. There are some decks that can't really deal with this. Now, it's not a particularly strong card, but if you just have a card that your opponent can't deal with, that's going to really jam them up. And that's what we're hoping to do with this one. And sometimes, you know, maybe you want to have access to something that's not going to get Swords to Plowshares too easily. This can also block Psychic Frog pretty well. So that's there too. And we have 4 removal spells if we need to be removing some spooky, scary creatures. Because, you know, it's Halloween. Other people might be doing some spooky stuff too. Alright, that's it for the deck tech. So please remember to like and subscribe and join me on this final spooky deck for the week. Tomorrow we'll be back to normal, but we're doing a little bit of spooky Halloweening today, and I hope you're enjoying it. Alright, remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to see my videos early, you can become a member of my YouTube channel for £1 a month and get that wonderful privilege. Alright, let's spook some people out with our zombies. Our opener only has 1 land in. If we draw a second land, we can do some pretty good stuff here and just have a lot of power. Am I going to keep a 1-lander? We have 3 1-drops, so I think this is acceptable. And Screw beats Flood, right? Just get a basic swamp so we can't be wastelanded off of anything. Deploy a Champion of the Perished. And we'll pass it over. If we draw a land, we can deploy 2 more champions, and we've all of a sudden got a lot of power coming our opponent's way. Now, they might just combo us off. Okay. Grim Monolith, yep. This feels like one of the ones we're going to want ourselves some Null Rods for. We're the 1 ring, Mystic Forge. That's not the worst for us. Of all the big 4-drops, that's probably the least worrying they could have. Can we find that land and just put some pressure on? We did not find the land. We can still put some pressure on. Alright, 2 damage coming across. If we draw a land next turn, we're probably playing the... Is it the Augur? I guess if we play the Champion, that's +2 damage on board straight away. If we play the Augur, it's +2 damage on board straight away. And the Champion will hit for 2, so it probably still is better to play the Champion next turn, even if we draw a land. So not a bad time to draw like a Shadowy Backstreets. Yep, you can play a Vexing Bauble. That stops them ripping... I guess they can still play the Lotus Petals off the top of their deck. They just don't get to resolve them. They still get to clear their deck though, and it doesn't cost them anything. Alright, they've got a Voltaic here. Have they got any mana to use on that one? Right, there's a City of Traitors. So probably going to see an untap of Grim Monolith here. Unless they're in a situation where they need to untap the Mystic Forge. Right, it's the Monolith. That's worse for us. That means they've got stuff they can play. A Basalt Monolith. Okay, it's just mana neutral for now. And a Vexing Bauble. They're just ripping stuff off the top until they can get to a place where they can win the game. And they haven't found that place yet. So we're still in it. Cavern of Souls. Play this, we name zombie. So yeah, like I said, if we play the Champion of the Perished here, Champion of the Perished, these two come in for +2 damage. If we play the Undead Augur, these two come in for +2 damage as well. But if we play the Champion this turn, and next turn we play the Undead Augur, then we end up with the Undead Augur. It's probably going to attack him with the same amount. Right, I think we just play the Augur here. Be mana efficient. In case we draw a land next turn, we might be able to play 2 zombies. What is this? Kozilek's Command? They're really commanding one of our champions. I think in just a straight race here, our opponent should be winning every time. Like, that's an exile as well, so it doesn't even matter on the timing there. So we can start sacrificing creatures to try and dig out our combo if we draw a land for the Soultrader here. Right, our opponent's probably going to have a turn that involves a lot of clicking and probably leaves us dead. Glaring Fleshraker, that's a very good way to get us dead. So I'm going to keep playing stuff here. We can just F6 this turn and hope that we get another one and maybe we can combo our opponent out. It's going to be difficult to combo actually from here, isn't it? Because we'll have 2 draws, but we need an additional mana on top of that. Yeah, I don't think we can combo our opponent out here because they took out one of our creatures last turn. If we had a 3rd creature, we'd have enough to potentially combo. Alright, they've got double Fleshraker now. They're cracking the ball for some extra draws or clearing the top of their library. There's Workshop, only taps for 1 at the moment. Alright, they've stopped. We get a turn. A Scrubland. Interesting. So, if we play out this champion first, we can play out the Accursed Marauder. That'll draw us a card and pump this. We're going to sacrifice the Marauder to itself. Free card. Say free. We do lose a life, which might be relevant. I do not believe they're going to trade their Fleshraker for our Augur here. But we can offer that trade. See if they want it. Alright, we've taken a chunk out of our opponent's life tail. If we draw not Fleshraker, either half of our combo, we can then dig to the other half next turn. I have to imagine our opponent can win there. They've got so much stuff over there. Double Key, Mystic Forge. I guess they don't have that much starting mana. But they got 5 cards in hand. So they must have another land in there somewhere. Urza's Workshop. So these tap for 2 each now. Yep, alright, we're in F6 mode again, so let's just see if our opponent kills us. Need to play 15 spells at this point. But if they play a Kozilek's Command, that counts as many. And Kozilek's Command is pretty busted with the Mystic Forge because you stack your deck. Alright, Paradox Engine. This just allows them to generate all the mana in the world every time they cast a spell. Alright, Phyrexian Metamorph. What is this copying? Probably the Fleshraker. Just so they can try and get us dead quicker. Yep. Also, this means they generate loads and loads and loads of mana. There is a possibility our opponent bricks here. It's just incredibly low. We've already been quite fortunate this game, so maybe we can continue to be fortunate. Another Metamorph. So this doesn't trigger the Fleshraker because it's a blue spell. But it's going to find some actual spells here. This is just going to be a massive Kozilek's Command. Walking Ballista is obviously lethal. They can Karn into Ballista. The One Ring. Okay, so our combo still works here. But they get to draw their deck because they tap the One Ring. Any spell they play untaps all of their permanents, including the One Ring. So they get to draw more cards, and each time they tap it, they draw more and more things. Have they got a spell to start its chain off? They're casting Mystic Forge. They're not tapping that One Ring? We're dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But didn't want the extra cards. Okay, so we want 4 Null Rods here. That's pretty much all we want. I don't think we're going to need these Death Barons. They can be like a decent chunk of damage. I also don't think the Marauders are very good here. Would I rather have some Marauders? They can kill a Fleshraker that's just played out if they don't have anything else going on. That doesn't feel that likely. Are they better than a Death Baron here? Probably. So let's try something along these lines. Just trying to think, do we want... Because they can still just keep playing things through the Fleshraker. I definitely think we want to keep our comboing because that's the thing that can just win the game quicker. The Carrion Feeder, maybe we can trim 1... No, I don't really like that. No, I think we're going to go in like this. We've got the 4 Null Rods, that's the best thing we can have here. Got Null Rods, we've got some Tidehollow Scullers. The Null Rod is a bit of a nombo with our combo, but we're not always going to draw them both. Oh, this is pretty close to the combo, isn't it? But we don't have a way of tutoring the last piece. We don't have a 1-drop either. I think we can do better than this. 1-drop, 2-drop. This can mill us. Okay, yeah, so I think we go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop and try and win the game that way. So we're not going to play out the champion. We're going to try and just dig our way towards a Gravecrawler. Let's keep this one. What are we putting back here? Probably means in that case we're putting back the champion, because the Marauder is a way that we get to sacrifice our Stitches supply, so we get 6 looks at a Gravecrawler to try and combo out. I'll pop our Graveyard out here. So this will kill on turn 3 if we can find a Gravecrawler in the top cards. There it is. So we have a turn 3 kill here. Is our opponent going to kill us on turn 3? Also, this wins through the One Ring because it's life loss and doesn't target. An Urza Saga. If they're just doing an Urza Saga game, that is a-okay by me. We will outrace that. Soulguide Lantern. Goodbye, Gravecrawler. Sure. Alright. Making things difficult for us. The one of Soulguide Lantern. Right, let's get our Wayward Servant going. So the plan here is a tricky one, because they will have a window to interact with us. Find the Gravecrawler now. That one of Soulguide Lantern absolutely jamming us up here. Salt Monolith, yeah, you carry on doing your nonsense over there, opponent, I don't mind. Mystic Forge, sure. Come on, sacrifice a Soulguide Lantern. That's what we want to see. Good turn to draw a Null Rod. Did not draw the Null Rod. Attack. Put some damages. So the problem is, to get the... So if we sacrifice this, it'll mill, and then there'll be a window where our opponent gets to remove something. So what we have to do is play the Stitcher Supplier, because as soon as the ability resolves, we get priority. Whereas we don't have a way of sacrificing this, because this ability will still be on the stack. So we need to get another turn and have a Gravecrawler in the top cards of our library. And then we have to get through this Soulguide Lantern as well, because that gets our Gravecrawler back for the first time. But that's not enough. Paradox Engine. Are we dead this turn? Could be. A Vexing Bauble. You got it. Alright, so I'm tapping a bunch of stuff, making a bunch of mana, doing all the boring things this deck does. Alright, the One Ring, maybe they'll sit behind this, but if they've got another spell, they should be able to win the game here, because they get to tap the One Ring twice for every spell. Play Nurse's Workshop. Alright, that's enough. They will be able to draw the whole deck through the One Ring now. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. They had their one of Soulguide Lantern that was still in their deck that stopped us from winning on turn 3, because we had the win there. So they drew their one off. We didn't draw one of our 4 of hate pieces. Like this, there's a reason there's 4 Null Rods on our sideboard, because this sort of matchup is going to be difficult. But we didn't draw the Hand Disruption. We just had the, okay, we can kill them on turn 3. Let's hope that's good enough. And, you know, 9 times out of 10 it would be, but this time it wasn't. All right, let's go to round 2. No lands are open here, so we're going to mulligan this one. No 1-drop. But we've got some Wayward Servants. I guess we keep. We can just use this Marsh Flats as a 1-drop by getting a Surveil land. Imagine if we Surveil a Gravecrawler into the bin. Really living the dream then. So we're probably looking towards Tidehollow Sculler as our option, rather than just jamming out a Wayward Servant. We'll see our opponent plays, then we can adjust our play patterns. I took our Sculler, so we don't have that choice anyway. Let's go and find ourselves a Shadowy Backstreet. Another land. We will need that land, so we'll put it on top. Okay, let's make a zombie mummy thing. And pass. Cracking the Polluted Delta. They're going to play a Psychic Frog here. Frog is good. Profane Tutor being suspended. Alright, our opponent is up to no good over there. That's pretty exciting. Some sort of Stormless, perhaps. Now we're flooding out a little bit on these effects. So I can play out this Wayward Servant now. We don't have another Shadowy Backstreet though, so it's not very mana efficient. Is it better to be mana efficient, or is it better to just get this Soultrader in? Or we can play the Servant around a Daze. Our opponent's not running Daze if they're a Profane Tutor deck though. Let's be real about that. Let's play this one out. Let's crack this and get ourselves a Swamp. And then we're just going to play the Soultrader. It hits for slightly more, but it's kind of a wash with the guy. Oh, they have Force of Will in their deck. That is a bit of a shocker. Pitching a Tamiyo. Is our opponent some sort of Doomsday deck with Profane Tutor in? Not sure. Not sure what's going on over there. Alright, Profane Tutor. Dropping down. Next turn they get to find whatever they want. Whatever that may be. Just cycling Lauren Revealed to shuffle that Ponder. Got the one card they wanted off of it. And a Preordain. Our opponent is definitely in the combo realm, that's for sure. Very surprised to see the Force of Will. The sort of combo decks that have room for Force of Will tend to be things like Doomsday. And Tamiyo is kind of like a staple in Doomsday at this point. 2 bottom on that Scry. But they're going to find whatever they want with the Profane Tutor anyway. So our little 2-mana 2/2. Oh, look, we had it all. We had it all. Just got a little friend in. We had the combos ready to go. If our opponent has some sort of ad nauseam line, we're at least reducing their life total a fair bunch. They don't have many cards in hand. So if they do a Doomsday pile, they have to try and win this turn. They've certainly got the mana to make that happen. If they've got like a Dark Ritual. So we've got 7 draws that automatically win us the game next turn. Any of our sack effects. Actually, no, we also got the Accursed guys as well, haven't we? So that's 11 things. Because we attack, then we sacrifice our Gravecrawler, and we can replay it. And that's enough with the ping of the other zombie. Alright, what did you find? Show and Tell. Okay. An Archon. Oh, sorry, an Atraxa. Let's see what you find here. Okay, so just blue-black Show and Tell list. So they're going to take the Force of Will. So I took Show and Tell, Omniscience, and Force of Will. They didn't fancy the Ancient Tomb then. Okay, so I can Show and Tell the Omniscience in next turn. That could be pretty bad news for us. We have it, so we at least force the blue card out of their hand. So maybe we get rid of the Show and Tell or the Omniscience. They can't just put it in, so it gives us another draw. Okay, they exile Preordain. So they're going to have their thing up and running. Would I like to gain 1 life? 15 plus 7 is 22, so that's not going to make any difference if we're getting Emerald. We just need to hope that our opponent can't win with this Show and Tell Omniscience line. Right, here we go. Do you have the thing to win? This also means that any other counter magic is going to be free for them. Profane Tutor. Oh, I see. It works that way, does it? I see. I guess it's an alternative cost, isn't it, of 0. So you just end up with 0 mana Demonic Tutor. And they just cast Big Squiddy Diddly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can concede the game there. Okay. Okay. What works for us here? None of these cards do a great deal of anything. So that's certainly problematic. I wasn't really prepared for blue-black Show and Tell. I guess we just go back in again. Like, Stillmoon Cavalier is pretty good into an Atraxa because they can't get through it. It's probably... Is that better than a Death Baron? Doesn't sound better than Death Baron. Alright, I think we just go back in. Gonna be a tough one for us, this. Like, we could have cut some Death Barons and had some more discard in our original list. That was one of the things I sort of and erred over if we wanted to include like a few Thoughtseize. I think probably would have been a good idea. But that's less spooky, isn't it? Okay, we'll keep this. The Cavern of Souls is pretty big news here. So let's play this one counterably. Because they don't really want to counter something that comes back anyway. So the reason we play this one out first is if we draw the black-white guy, we can kill them on turn 3. Right, if we play the Champion of the Parish, we don't get to do that. Alright, so we're going to lose the Soultrader here. Poor little zombie goblin wizard. What a great creature type that is. Goodbye, combo. Ooh, look what we drew. So we'll play this out on zombie, obviously. We'll attack for 2. Let's get the champion in. So we have the Soultrader next turn, so we can make our Gravecrawler large enough to kill our opponent. Because we can sack it for a treasure and just keep replaying it and stacking all the counters on the champion. And we can do that uncounterably. So that's pretty nice. Is it nice enough? Who knows? Alright, Ponder. That suggests to me that we're not getting Show and Tell this turn. Obviously, Lotus Petal still exists. So I could Lotus Petal Ancient Tomb. Alright, don't be doing anything with that black mana, please. Play this one out. Let's cast an uncounterable zombie goblin wizard. Do you have a removal spell, opponent? Because if you don't, you lose. Ah, we're going for the uncounterable. No, we're going for the counter spell on it, are we? Sure. That puts you in a bit of a bind for next turn, doesn't it? Show and Tell in here. Okay, is it an Emrakul? It's an Atraxa. Okay, we can beat an Atraxa, depending on what our opponent finds. Force of Will, they're going to take that. But we can play the Gravecrawler uncounterably twice. They have the Profane Tutor, actually, right? So they just Profane Tutor for the Emrakul and kill us. I'm pretty sure our opponent's going to know how their own deck works. They did this play before. Are they going to be fearful of what we have in our hand? Unlikely. They can get, what? Force of Will, Tamiyo to back up their Profane Tutor. So that is lights out. I'm not going to disrespect our opponent. I'm just going to concede it there. Yeah, bit of a tough one. But there we are. I haven't seen a great deal of Show and Tell. Certainly not blue-black Show and Tell for a long time. So Not necessarily that well prepared into this one. Our main combo hates are for the graveyard and for artifacts, so this kind of just slips past all of our sideboard slots. Alright, let's go to round 3. We have a lot of 1-drops here. I think we will keep this. Even if we don't draw a land immediately, it's not the end of the world. If we do draw a land, it's pretty sweet indeed. Go, go, Gadget Zombie. If that was a Scrubland, I would have probably mulliganed though, because that leaves us just dead to Wasteland. The fact that it was a swamp means that's very keepable. Oh no. So our opponent playing Oops All Spells, because that would be bad for us. We're just going to get paired into combo decks when we're trying to play zombies. No, we're not. Cut down. I haven't seen one of those for a while. Right, so our opponent is not on Oops All Spells. That is a relief. Play this on zombie. Play a Gravecrawler. Cutting our poor little friend down. What do I want instead? I think we want a Carrion Feeder here. Alright. 2 cut downs and a Faerie Macabre. Not a lot to go on with what our opponent's playing. Some sort of rock style deck perhaps. Our opponent's on something a little bit different over there, which is nice to see. Nice to see that round from last deck, the deck from last round, even though they smashed us to pieces. It's always nice to see something a little bit different. Play a Gravecrawler. Let's sacrifice a Gravecrawler. Let's play a Gravecrawler. Let's sacrifice a Gravecrawler. Let's play a Gravecrawler again. Good old-fashioned Magic the Gathering right there. A Dismember for the high price. Sure. Okay, really not sure what our opponent's doing. Lots of removal, swamps, and forests. It's a very nice forest they have as well. Right, Faerie Macabre, you're going to pay the life for that? No. Let's attack. Let's get a Stitcher's Supplier in there. Didn't find any more Gravecrawlers, but we can cast this one. Am I going to get Maelstrom Pulsed and lose all my Gravecrawlers? We can obviously replay them, but that would be very funny. Not seen a Maelstrom Pulse for a long time. Since Assassin's Trophy got printed to be specific. Walk the plank. Our opponent does not want creatures to live, that's for sure. Okay. 1/1 removal is going to be very bad into our array of Gravecrawlers here. I will attack with these. Let's make our Soultrader here. Sure. Alright, you have to kill all 3 of our Gravecrawlers. I have no idea what our opponent is playing. It has a lot of removal in it, and a lot of that removal seems to be targeting... It is obviously black, so I think I want some Stillmoon Cavaliers here if our opponent's just trying to do that to us. Didn't see many creatures, so maybe we'll take out this Accursed Marauder and we'll just try something along these lines. We can adjust the situation after game 2 if there is a game 3. And we see some more stuff, but yeah, I don't really know what our opponent's doing. My initial instinct is they're playing some kind of black-green rock and they just didn't have their rock. They just had the removal to go around it. Wonder what your rock would be in this day and age. Tarmogoyf. Questing Beast, if you want to spend a bit more mana. Baragoyf is fine. Right, we have no lands again, so we're going to send this one back. Yes, I'll keep this. 1, 2, 3. Do I throw back a land here? It's kind of tempting. I do like the curve here. Alright, I'll get rid of 1 land. We got several turns to draw a land here, so I believe. Alright, let's name zombie. Let's play the Supplier. Oh, they've seen the Stillmoon Cavalier. The tech for their green-black removal deck. So we probably play the Sculler next turn rather than the Augur. We're getting cut down again. Surely it's not worth removing our 1/1 that we want to die. Our opponent disagrees. The fact that we've lost that creature means we're definitely playing the Sculler next. Just have a little look to see what our opponent's working with. I still think we play the Sculler here. Want to be mana efficient at this point. Our mana's kind of under duress anyway, so I think I will get Scrubland here. Makes it very hard for them to take us off of a colour. Let's see if they know how these old style triggers works. Because if they kill this with the trigger on the stack, they lose 2 cards. Okay. Hagra Mauling, Liliana's Triumph, Thrum the Last Troll. Like, our opponent just wants to keep firing off removal spells. It's honestly fine. Do I take the Thrun here? I take the Abrupt Decay. Like, they're just going to kill our creature wherever we take here, right? So what would I like them to use up? Probably the one that has the higher colour requirements here. I would love to draw a land next turn. So there's the Abrupt Decay that we knew about. They are just good old-fashioned the rock over there. It's from the last troll where it's at. Uncertain. Come on, draw a land deck so we can go champion into Augur. We did do exactly that, didn't we? Let's go for the champion. I assume they're going to Liliana's Triumph in response to this Undead Augur. Goodbye, our only creature. But now, if they kill our creature, we get to draw a card out of it. And then we can play the Undead Augur and get 2 cards out of every card, every creature they do. And then we can just keep chucking stuff underneath the Thrun bus. I assume we're seeing the Thrun here. There it is, the Thrun bus. It says regenerate, it's a 4/4, it's hexproof, it can't be countered. Okay, I think we just play the Augur here. Is that true? Am I playing the Augur? Like, Stillmoon Cavalier doesn't really help into this. We could just be more mana efficient and just play out this guy. I quite like just being able to draw 2 cards a turn, though. That feels good. Like, our opponent's whole thing is removing our creatures. It does cost us life when we draw the cards, but that's fine. We can just start throwing other cards in front of this Thrun. And, you know, we save ourselves a little bit of damage, but draw 2 cards in the process. Liliana of the Veil. What would you like us to discard? Or are you going to make us sack one of our guys? Right, I will sack a guy. I will draw 2 cards. Cavern of Souls. Not unhelpful. I don't mind having a little bit more mana. I've still got another draw effect, opponent. It sees itself. Okay. I'll draw some more cards. Another Soultrader and a Swamp. Okay, not ideal. Carrion Feeder. Let's play this on Zombie. Play the Carrion Feeder. We can then play the Stillmoon Cavalier, which gives us a creature that can kill the Liliana next turn. Because they can't block it because we can make it jump. We've got a creature in the bank that we can sacrifice to the Liliana. We're going to take another hit from this Thrun, but I believe that we can string something together that will deal with this. We do have the little guy that makes them sacrifice a creature. Our opponent's 1/1 in removal, and we've got... okay. Have they got another removal spell, like an Edict? Felmire tapped, presumably here. Each player discards a card. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, we'll take a hit here. Opponent's got no cards in hand. Right, we'll attack the Liliana here. Play the Soultrader. If I play out the Swamp and they have a Liliana and we discard the Swamp to the Soultrader instead of the Soultrader, that's a lot better. So I think we don't play out this Swamp just yet. Alright, we're going to take a hit from this Thrun. And then we're just going to put some stuff in under the bus for a few turns. It doesn't have Trample. It's just a guy. Okay, a Gravecrawler is not unhelpful. Now, the thing about our combo is it pays life to make a treasure. But once we get the guy that drains, that's fine. So, what am I doing here? I'm probably attacking with... Is it the Soultrader? They can't really remove the Stillmoon Cavalier. I think that ends up better for us. So we'll play out the Gravecrawler here. So we can block with the Soultrader and then sack it to the other Soultrader. Or we can block with the Stillmoon. It takes 2 mana to pump this. So we can't even pump it twice, really. 3, 6, 7, 8. We're pretty close to killing our opponent on attacks. The Gravecrawler can't block, so we don't just have a guy that we can just keep bringing back there, which is a shame. Wow, they're not attacking. Liliana or something here? Leyline in the Void. Okay. That does some stuff here. Does kind of jam up what we're doing here. We'll give this flying. We'll go to attacks. Tell this. +1/+0. Make a champion of the perished. And we'll pass it over. We have plenty of chump blockers. If we attack with everything, they take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they take exactly lethal next turn. Alright, they're scooping it up. The year is 2024. Stillmoon Cavalier winning a match. You absolutely love to see it. We're on the board. Let's go around 4. There's still a positive record on the line here. Let's see if we can put that together. Our mana base could be a little bit better, but I will keep this one. I think we'll lead off on the champion. Oh no, we're getting comboed again. Why does it keep happening to me? There's not that much combo around in the meta, but we just keep running into it at the moment. Okay, a Psychic Frog. This is probably Doomsday. At least you don't have to worry about Wastelands here. Alright, Champion of the Perished. It's your time to shine. Wow! Dazing a Champion of the Perished. Shot. Bloodstained Mire. Undercity Sewers. We're going to get jabbed by the frog here. We can maybe play out a Sculler. Wouldn't mind having access to a Cavern of Souls, so we can just get that Sculler in for sure. A Gravecrawler. That is an interesting one to have access to, isn't it? I still think we're playing out this Sculler. Got another Day's opponent. Second Street Wraith, very much Doomsday on the other side there. Force of Will, yep. Okay, we got 2 cards instead of 1, but we didn't get to choose what card it was. Polluted Delta. Getting bashed by the frog. We see like a ritual into Doomsday here, or are they just going to continue playing the we're going to draw the cards because Psychic Frog is a busted magic card game. Champion of the Perished. Let's get that in there. Crack this. I think we're just going to get another Scrubland at this point. So we want to pump our guy twice here. I think that means playing out Stitcher's Supplier, which can also chump block and force them to remove cards from their graveyard. And if this finds a Gravecrawler, then that's a card we can play from the graveyard instead of having to worry about the one in our hand, which you can save up for later. Okay, we didn't hit anything there. There is a Soultrader there. We don't get to bring that back because our deck doesn't do that. A Brainstorm. Fear the almighty Gravecrawler. I do love Gravecrawler. It's kind of what Magic should be, that sort of power level of stuff of, yeah, you can do some pretty good stuff with it. You have to work at it if you want an infinite combo. It's just a guy, but what a guy. None of this Psychic Frog nonsense. Just give me my 2/1s for 1. Ah, Metamorphosis Fanatic. Bringing back Street Wraith, you say? I see. If they have nothing and we draw the Warren Soultrader, we do just win the game. But will our opponent have nothing when they're going to have 5 cards? Who knows? 3 cards. But they're going to have 4 cards once they have this frog attack. They're definitely going to do. The Street Wraith being unblockable is certainly on the awkward side. But we can make a champion of the Perish, which is big enough to attack into the Metamorphosis or hold it off. Okay. Let's play this Augur. Let's play this on Zombie. We're doing it this way round so that our opponent wouldn't daze the second spell. And if we play the Servant, I think they're more likely to counter that one, and that's the one I wanted uncounterable. If you play that one, then they probably counter the Augur. I think that's the best way that we get both of them through. So what am I doing here? Am I attacking with a 5/5? Or are we using that on block? So they can double block here and we can take out the Street Wraith. That seems fine to me. If they want to trade. I'm just going to take the 5. Obviously they're going to be gaining a load of life when they attack. But we'll be drawing cards. Alright, they're pumping their frog. If they attack with everything, we can actually have quite a big crackback. And if we find a sack outlet, we can have a really big crackback. I'll block this one, the only one we can. An Undead Augur, sure. Obviously we lose life from the Undead Augur too. So how much damage you got? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're not a million miles away from being able to dome our opponent for lethal next turn. Obviously they've drawn many extra cards this game. Stitcher's Supplier. I think I like casting this one. We'll keep open the Cavern. Okay. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. So we do have to block. We play this one out. We drain our opponent for 1. We go. Do we attack here? We can attack with this, this, and this. And then save the champion to take out the Fanatic on the crackback. Yeah, we're only 1 damage away. Oh my god, did I just miss lethal? Might have missed lethal there. Yeah, we could have at least attempted lethal here. Missed my own Gravecrawler there. Our opponent's got 4 cards in hand though. I have to believe they have something. Alright, growing the frog. You're going to make your frog fly. I think you need to be making your frog fly here. I will gobble that up with my zombie. Alright. We definitely have a lethal crackback now. They really not just have anything over there. What are all these cards in their hand? There is a possibility they wanted the Metamorphosis Fanatic back in the graveyard so they could reanimate it with something else and bring back the frog. Okay. Okay, so they're bringing back a frog. So I don't think our opponent is Doomsday anymore. They're just us fast to build. Some other stuff going on. Soultrader one time. What is the dealio here? So if we attack with the 2 Gravecrawlers, they kind of have to block the... They don't have to block, they can just let them through. If we attack with the champion, they have to block here. We lose 4 life. We draw some cards. Attack with this and this. We attack with both the Augurs as well. 8. So they have to block this. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just get to replay these and dig for a Soultrader to try and win the game. Might rue the missing of that lethal, I think. Are you going to pump your frog? We get 4 cards here and go to 2 life. Let's have a look. Nope. 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 Although, if we go white, black, and cast this guy. And drains for 1. Then we cast this Stitcher Supplier. This finds us another Gravecrawler. That gives us more reach as well. We in? Oh, yes. You love to see it. Oh, yes. We kind of missed lethal. They had 4 cards in hand. They probably were just things like Force of Will that we kind of blanked. And now we managed to get ourselves a nice Wayward Servant win there. Not even having to combo. That's a story for our opponent to tell their friends. Okay. I would like Faerie Macabres. I think these Death Barons aren't great and probably shouldn't be in the deck at this point. But, you know, they're pretty spooky looking. Look at this guy. Look how spooky he is. It's got horns and everything. Anyway, so what do I want to help out our matchup here? The Carrion Feeder is something that can get big enough to tussle with a Psychic Frog, so I like that. I don't think we're getting rid of any of our 1-drops. They all seem really good. I don't think we're getting rid of our combo pieces, because that's a really nice way that we can just backdoor our opponent. We're not getting rid of our removal. So we're either getting rid of some discard or these Undead Augurs. The Augurs were pretty darn good there. I think I'm going to get rid of some Scullers. Right, let's jam. I think we could play the Cavaliers, but I don't think we can play the Cavaliers and... Ooh, okay, yeah, I like this one. I don't think we can play the Cavaliers and the Faerie Macabres. I think that's too many slots in. Lion's Eye Diamond. Maybe our opponent is doing some sort of Doomsday shenanigans. I just don't know over there. Alright, we're going to play... I think Gravecrawler is the most amount of damage there, isn't it? So, play the Gravecrawler out first. We're playing this uncounterable because we don't want our opponent to know that we have this Cavern of Souls. And we also don't want to get wastelanded when we're going to be playing something like a Tidehollow Sculler, which is probably going to be a really big deal. Yeah, so our opponent is either duked onto Doomsday or there's some sort of weird hybrid. So I was probably right with my first guess. Make an uncounterable bit of hand disruption. Now, our opponent can brainstorm, so it's not like they're completely cold to this. Play this, name zombie. Let's cast a little Sculler. This isn't going to work the way you want, opponent. Okay, they're brainstorming. Oh, they're consigning to memory our triggered ability. Is consign to memory particularly good against us? Like, we have a handful of triggered abilities, but we just keep putting them on the stack, so it's not going to do the most. Doomsday. Sure, it's going to put our opponent down to what, 8? Yeah, 4 damage. I don't believe we can erase the Doomsday here. They have the Lion's Eye Diamond, so it's fully possible that they get to just win the game here. Because they might have any Cycler, they can crack the Lion's Eye Diamond in response and then cast, like, Consider and just get through their pile that way with another Cycler. Right, so they are Doomsday. So they're like Doomsday, Tempo Frog, and Reanimator. I think you'll all agree with me when I say the Blue-Black Shadow Legacy right now is just bananas. We need like multiple cards taken out of this archetype. I don't think 3 bans would be unreasonable at this point. Right, let's have a look at their Doomsday pile once they've done it. Or sorry, their Exiled Zone. Right, how have they boarded here? Okay, they boarded out a lot of their graveyard package. So that leaves us wondering what we're doing for the next one. Like, they still have Metamorphosis Fanatic. Maybe that's all the graveyard package they had. Yep, so they had the Lion's Eye Diamond and the Fetch. Yep, so here's a Consider pile that I mentioned before. There's a Street Wraith. 1 card in their library. Thassa's Oracle. That is the game. Okay. Back to the drawing board. Do we still need these Faerie Macabres? I think so. I think I would like the Scullers back in, though. And I think we can probably take out one of our Accursed Marauders. And do we need all of these Faerie Macabres? Not really, but just one of them does stuff, doesn't it? Maybe we're trimming an Augur here. Try that. So our hand doesn't have any interaction with our opponent. I think we have to mulligan this. Oh dear. Oh dear. We're keeping this one lander because that's Warren Soultrader. I think I have to mulligan. Alright, I think we have to keep this one though. Go with Soultrader and I think a Gravecrawler here. Right, so we get the Gravecrawler down. This can at least pressure our opponent. Make it so that if they do like a turn 3 Doomsday, it actually gets a little bit dicey for their life total if they're not deploying anything to the board. Alright, I ponder they didn't shuffle from. Shadowy Backstreets is unfortunately coming in tapped here. Carrion Feeder, We don't need that. We already have the Warren Soultrader, to be honest. Just bash for 2. Maybe we can try and get off a Tidehollow Sculler next turn. So the Orzhov Backstreet has come in handy once or twice, and it's let us down a little bit here. But that's, you know, the price you pay. I think it's still worth including 1. The opportunity cost is quite low for the upside on it. Especially since, you know, we have a combo to dig to, and we also have cards that, if we put in the graveyard, it counts as basically drawing it. I kept a card on top, so do I want to Sculler now or not? I'm going to attack with the Gravecrawler. If we Sculler right now, we won't see that card they left on top. But I think we've given our opponent too much rope here already. We need to try and rein them in a little. Alright, so they're cycling. The card that was on top is no longer on top. What do we have here? An Animate Dead is potentially annoying. The other cards don't do anything. Okay, yeah. Weirdly happy to see our opponent's hand there. They don't really have anything going on. I'm going to attack for some more damage. I think we're going to be mana efficient this turn in Soultrader. We don't really care about what's in our opponent's hand. They're drawing random that turn as well. The power of uncounterable spells compels me. Let's go, Warren Soultrader. So Doomsday is basically uncastable. A Psychic Frog, sure. It's a good one. Let's go for black here. Let's make this Undead Augur. Attack with our Gravecrawler here. So we can sack and just keep making treasure here as well. Are you going to pump your frog or not? I'll happily trade this. If you pump it one time, it'll become a treasure instead. I got rid of one of the daisies. Let's turn this into treasure. This also gets us a delicious card draw. So we can't just try and combo off here because our opponent does have counter magic. Force of Will. Pitching Days. Okay, so now they've kind of freed us up here. So we can just rattle this off now. Until we find our little friend. Champion of the Perished. Sure, I'll cast that guy first. Will I? I'll play off this Cavern. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. We know both of them, I think. So we're just going to keep making our zombie. Because if we find the guy, we can just deploy it. We do need to watch our life total a little bit in case our opponent can do some spooky frog shenanigans. Kind of a little bit worried about going any lower at this point. I've drawn up to 7. I guess we just pass here. Like, our opponent can only hit us for 5 life. And they will be dead on the crackback. Maybe went a bit too far there, but they have to chump block this Champion of the Perished. Right, so discarding this Metamorphosis Fanatic. Giving it flying. I do not believe our opponent has the ability to deal us direct damage with anything here. Right, they're just hitting us once here. Looking for a card. Is there some sort of desperation here? Trying to get the card because they know they can't win through what we've got. Animate Dead on that guy. Sure. Doesn't bring any friends with it. Oh no, it does bring a friend with it, doesn't it? That is kind of a bit of a bummer for us, isn't it? Let's see if we can wriggle our way out of this one. Where is our little black and white guy? We need you, friend. That's not it, is it? So this guy is really big. This forces a block here. Or here. I think we have to Soultrader here. But this costs us 2 life. This will let us draw 2 cards down to 1 if they block these. Well, they get their Animate Dead back. We don't care about that one. We go to 1. We found the Undead Servant. We found 2 of them. That is excellent news. We need this to resolve. We could just play out any other guy here. I want to have a look at their hand as well. Okay, so now we have a little bit of life to work with. So we can play this out. We can cast this Gravecrawler. We can sacrifice this Gravecrawler. And cast this Gravecrawler. I have demonstrated a loop opponent. Force of Will. 1 card left in hand and we know it's Animate Dead. So how do we through this? If we sacrifice a guy, we lose a life because of our Undead Augur. Oh no, have I messed this up? We're supposed to sack the Undead Augur first, because we don't need any more cards. By sacking this guy twice, we've just doomed ourselves. Oh, jeez. Oh no. We lose the life here, don't we? Got my own terms. Well, we should have won that one. We sacrificed the Undead Augur first because we don't need any more cards. And then when we do our loops, we don't lose as much life, and then we end up with enough life to then sack another guy if they have an interaction. Oh, I'm so annoyed about that. We should have beaten this deck. We should have beaten them. Oh, so frustrating. All right, we're 4 rounds in. We're now looking for the 2-3, but it should be a 3-2 that we're looking for. All right, let's go for it. All right, first appearance of the Death Baron. We'll keep it. Oh, I'm still reading from last round, if I'm honest with you. That really frustrated me. Devourer of Destiny. Okay, so we're looking at some amount of Eldrazi, most likely. Could be Cloud Post, but probably Eldrazi. It's Millard. All right, we found the Gravecrawler. We have the Soultrader. We just need to find our little friend. Can't believe I'm not used to doing my Gravecrawler Warren Soultrader loops. And I lost the game because of it. All right, moving on. Let's focus on this game. So they're doing a Devourer of Destiny shenanigans over here. We can see what they reject, and we can maybe get an impression of what they have in their hand or what they were missing. Although we're probably going to take a peek at their hand next turn anyway, so we're going to get a full look at what they're doing. Alright, so they didn't want lands, basically. So probably sewn up for mana and just want some stuff to play early doors. Let's play this one out. Name Zombie. Here we go. Let's have a look what you're working with, opponent. So Microspawn. Double Glowing Fleshraker is definitely annoying. So next turn, what they're doing, they're playing a Fleshraker out. Then we can kill it. And then the next turn, they can't play anything else out. So they'll probably play out another Fleshraker. Okay. I'm down with clown with that. So next turn, we probably play out Gravecrawler, Accursed Marauder. Maybe you put that Fleshraker into play. Did you draw a Lotus Petal? Of course they drew the Lotus Petal. Why wouldn't they draw the Lotus Petal? Oh, that makes our Accursed Marauder play so much worse. Oh, it's not our day today. Okay, so now we just jam in a Death Baron. Just force the damage through, try and punish this Ancient Tomb that our opponent's got over there. Because you don't get to attack with the Stitcher Supplier if we don't play the Death Baron there. Ah, why do you have to have the Lotus Petal? Our turn was so good if you didn't have that. Now they've got the Cradle with all these creatures in play. They get to kick a Microspawn. We lose 2 lands. Oh dear. Alright, they're not doing that. They're playing it the Herald's End. They probably get to cast this and the kicked Microspawn, right? Because they get loads of extra nonsense here. This is that one of Soulguide Lantern all over again. Obviously, they have 4 Lotus Spells in the deck, so it's not quite the same. But it's still frustrating. We're playing a fun, silly deck. We need to get a little bit lucky here and there. We just haven't had it today. Go on, kick your Microspawn. Be my guest. At least our creatures have Death Touch, apart from the Death Baron itself. Okay, so we're doing a Colorless command instead to kill our Death Baron. Sure. Are they going to save 1 green mana to try and then play the Microspawn as well? No, they're just going all in on this Colorless command. You leave 1 green mana up there. I guess they're just going to play the Devourer of Destiny here instead. Our Accursed Marauder looks pretty bad in the face of this Fleshraker, unfortunately. So they get rid of this. We lose the Tidehollow. They get back their Fleshraker. Yeah, I think we're dead there. Ugh, why do they have to have that Lotus Petal? They don't have the Lotus Petal. We kill their guy. They don't get green mana on the next turn. They don't get to that big turn that they just had. One of these days. So this is a matchup where I quite like the Death Baron because it just means that our rubbish creatures are actually pretty good. We definitely want to keep our combo in. We definitely want to keep the Accursed Marauder in. Is it the Sculler? Like maybe they only have like one thing in their hand that they want to do, but would I rather draw a Sculler or go for the Throat when we're already behind? So I think we're just going to avoid their hand a little bit and try and jam them up with the go for the Throats here. Okay, we'll keep this one. A Champion of the Parish can certainly outgrow some of our opponent's scarier creatures. Alright, let's play our 1 mana 1/1 that will hopefully be attacking for 3 on turn 2. What are you going to do here? Chalice. Okay, we'd like to draw a Cavern, I guess. We did not draw a Cavern. I'll play this one tapped. There is a Cavern. We'll put it on top. So this is when they enter, not when you cast. Otherwise, I would just cast one for a +1/+1 counter. Again, Thought Not Seared here. We are. All right, opponent. I understand. You're a mean person. We're going to lose our Warren Soultrader because we obviously can't cast the other cards anyway. I think we are playing this Stitcher's Supplier. Grow our champion. There is a Gravecrawler. We can play that. It doesn't achieve anything because this is whenever a zombie you control enters. Okay. We can chump block with a Stitcher's Supplier. Buy ourselves a little bit of time. Okay, they're going to waste on our Cavern. Sure, why wouldn't you do that, opponent? Ah, dear. Can't catch a break today. Sure, you can take one of our 1-drops. I think this Eldrazi deck probably needs taking down a peg or two as well. I guess we will hold back our Stitch of Supply. If we draw a Death Baron, it becomes a Death Touch blocker. Alternatively, we can just draw nothing of value. Right, so we take 8, that puts us down to 8. So we're going to have to start chump blocking the next turn. And then we leave it one more turn to try and draw the Death Baron. But I'm not feeling good about this one. Once upon a time, sure. A Glaring Fleshraker. With just enough mana to cast it. And a Cavern of Souls, sure. Right, they're not tapping their Ivugin for 4 mana this turn, that's something. Right. Interesting they didn't attack with the other Thornots here. Right, we'll crack this in our upkeep. Send our deck towards something that we can use. An Undead Augur. Well, it's something we can use. So we can double block on a Thornots there and trade it up. It costs us our Champion of the Perish, which is probably going to be our main thing that we have to actually attack our opponent. And that's going to be the thing that's a big enough creature. So it's kind of a bit sketchy throwing it away like that. A Wasteland. Lovely. Alright. So this is a 6-drop. Kozilek's Command. Yep. They're just making a bunch of spawns here. So they might just be chaining Kozilek's commands into each other, which is a pretty busted thing the Eldrazi deck can do. Because the Eye of Ugin, giving them the 2 cost reduction, means they can just go command into command into command, and it doesn't matter at that point because it's mana neutral because they get 2 off of it every time. Just some lovely, glorious nonsense we have to put up with. Yeah, so yeah, this is what I mean. This Eye of Ugin has tapped for 4 mana this turn. At least it's not like a league we played the other day where our opponent was tapping their Eye of Ugin for 8 mana in a single turn. That didn't feel very good to me. Right, so they've created some spawns. Once this finishes resolving, they're going to ping us and we're going to die, so may as well just concede. That was an absolute wash of a game. If our opponent didn't draw the Lotus Petal in game 1, I think we have a real shot at winning that game, and we're looking okay. Our opponent just had an incredible draw against what we're doing in this one. You know, they blunted our entire draw with all of our 1-drops. They had the Wasteland to make sure we only got 1-drop through in the first place, so we couldn't just keep growing our champion and have the biggest thing on the board. And then they had the Glaring Fleshraker chain just to go over the top as well. It's just too much stuff for us to deal with there. Alright, so we finished this league 1-4, but really it was a 2-3. We had the way that we could have won that round. We should have just sacrificed our Undead Augur before we started doing stuff with our Fleshraker. That was just my mistake. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that one. Let's talk about the deck. So first things first, I'm sure you can all imagine that I'm going to say that these Death Barons should be Thoughtseizers, and we might need to find a way to squeeze in a couple more. I don't think there's any point taking out Scullers for Thoughtseize. I think having them to complement each other is better. So we could maybe look at trimming like a Marauder. I guess as a 3rd Thoughtseize, something along these lines. I think we didn't really do very much with the Carrion Feeder, so maybe we could trim that as well. We've got plenty of 1-drops anyway, with 11 1-drops here, so we could just trim these. I did have a build with Cabal Therapy, because obviously we want to mill it, and it's pretty good with a Stitch Supplier. Lets us mill it, take a card, then mill some more cards, try and find our Gravecrawler. I thought that was okay, but I think just having cards that are just more useful on their own, like Thoughtseize, would be better than that anyway. Obviously, the Cabal Therapy is good with the Gravecrawlers, allowing us to recycle them. Obviously, yeah, we got the Gravecrawler as well, so we actually have way more 1-drops here. We got 15 1-drops. So, yeah, maybe we can do something like this and just play 4 Thoughtseize, and I think that would help a lot. I think being able to just take 1 card out of our opponent's hand in a lot of these games would have actually made a significant difference. Like, obviously, we're playing a fun deck here. You know, we're living that thriller dream of being zombies and getting people. And, you know, we did combo out a bit here and there. We certainly had the combo line available to us, and it was scuppered by a Singleton Soulguide Lantern at one point. I definitely feel we were on the unlucky side in a few of our games. Like, this could have been it should have been a 2-3 league, and I think it wasn't a million miles away from being a 3-2 league. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get there today. We did get a win with Stillmoon Cavalier. Obviously, our opponent's deck was not necessarily the most competitive of Legacy decks. But, you know, it's probably on a similar power level to what we're doing at the end of the day. So, a fair fight, all said and done. You could play versions of this deck where we have things like Dark Ritual, so we can try and power out our stuff. But the things we're powering out isn't necessarily great. We're just kind of having a density of the things we want, right? So we have enough creatures along the way. We're making creatures every turn, and they are kind of all synergized together. If you start putting Dark Rituals in the mix, we're gonna end up with like, we can ritual out a Soultrader, but it doesn't do anything until we've played the other creatures anyway. So it's not really helping us out that much. Yeah, sure, we could do like Dark Ritual into like champion, Gravecrawler, and that's quite a lot of power on turn 1. But I think just having a solid block of creatures like this is better, and if we just had a little bit more disruption here, I think that would make a world of difference. Also, if we're putting their Accursed Marauder into... We're taking this one out, I think I'll probably want to put it into the sideboard. Probably goes over something like a Go for the Throat. I think this card makes sense with what we're doing here. There's also a Knight creature that does very similar things to Wayward Servant, except you don't gain the life. And it's whenever a creature dies, I think, maybe. Whenever one of your creatures dies. It might be whenever one of your creatures enters. I can't remember. It's a black-white zombie knight. So you could run some more of those, so you've got a bit more redundancy. The problem with that is, because it doesn't gain you life, it doesn't really work with Warren Soultrader properly. Because this just loops together really nicely because it offsets the life loss, so you can just go infinite, whereas you can't with the knight. You could just, turn this into a more sacrifice-heavy deck, so we could lean more into trying to assemble this combo. Because this combo actually felt good, and it felt like the thing we wanted to do a lot of the time. Sometimes we had, this sort of stuff as a bit of reach. But I think this combo, alongside something like the Undead Augur as well, to allow us to sort of dig deep, was really potent. And the Stitcher Supplier to find the Gravecrawler is fine. If we can find another way of bringing back some creatures or another creature that we want to put in the graveyard, maybe we can try and build like a deck that's built around comboing to do this rather than, this aggro deck with a combo finish. Maybe we dedicate ourselves more to the combo, and we're a combo deck that can sometimes aggro people. If we approach it that way, the deck list will look quite different. Maybe I'll give that a go. Maybe it'll be next Halloween. I do like to play zombies on Halloween. When I first started playing Magic the Gathering, it was just when Zombies was coming out in the Onslaught block. So I have a lot of fondness for Zombies. It takes me back to a time when I started playing Magic the Gathering and was getting into it. Because I started just as Onslaught was coming out. And I didn't buy my first booster pack until Legions, actually. I just bought a few tournament packs. But yeah, so there's a lot of nostalgia tied up in Zombies, even though we're not running many of the zombies from back in the day. In fact, I think the only one we're running is the Carrion Feeder, is the only one from back in the day. But either way, I still have a lot of fun memories for Zombies, and I hope you enjoyed this Halloween special with some zombie stuff. Tomorrow we're going to be playing something else, non-Halloween related, and then next week we're going to be playing competitive decks for 2 weeks. We're going to be playing the best decks in the meta, and we're going to be playing them with like sideboard guides ideally, and we're going to be trying to showcase what the best things you can do in the meta are to help people who are preparing for Eternal Weekend, just sort of showing them what I think are the top decks in the meta. And hopefully you'll tune in for those ones. If you want to like and subscribe, it means you won't miss that, and it will help the channel out too. And with that, thank you so much for indulging me in this ridiculous, spooky Halloween week. I think we had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. All right. Thank you, lovely people, so much for watching. It does mean the world to me that I get to make legacy videos and have people watch them, even if we're doing something a little bit silly. All right. Goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.